Hello and welcome to Correro. Well, your platform for in-depth political conversation and also other pressing national issue. My name is Godwin Sunday. So, tonight we'll begin with some conversation that have risen from the quiet corners of society. Conversations born not from politics or power, but from the simple willingness of ordinary people to show up for one another. Well, this is one of those conversations, and of course, you already know that you tuned in to Correro. Well, across Nigeria, volunteerism has slowly become the invisible engine pushing communities to forward, from classrooms where children finally get extra learning support, to medical outreaches in distant villages, to young people cleaning flood hit areas long before officials help arrives. Yet, for all its promise, volunteerism in Nigeria still fights for structure, recognition, and support. We remain far behind countries where volunteering is integrated into a national development policy, where it shapes civic responsibility and strengthens social resilience. The question is why? And more importantly, how much further could we go if volunteerism were properly organized, funded, and valued? Well, tonight we examine Nigerians' journey so far, the gaps, the wins, and the future we could build if citizens' participation becomes a national asset. And joining us is someone at the heart of this ecosystem, Ambassador Phil Robert, a global director of the Tourism Volunteers Network. It brings us both local insight and global perspective into what truly drives effective volunteer structures. The conversation begins after this break. Please stay with us. Well, you're welcome back. Well, with me in the studio right now is Ambassador Phil Roberts. Well, Phil Roberts, it's a delight to have you on Correro.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
All right, Phil Robert, let's begin the conversation by first looking at the various misconceptions that surrounds volunteerism in Nigeria. A lot of people have misconstrued and misrepresent volunteerism to be an activity one involved with in order not to get paid or not to reap any form of benefits. But then you are in the field. Kindly help us understand what volunteerism is and should be in the context of Nigeria.
So thanks so much. Like you've mentioned, volunteerism is you, as the name implies, you volunteer to do something without expecting to get something back. That's the truth about it. But I used to tell people, because of the current situation of the country and the world, when you want to volunteer from this part of the world, you should also think about what is the reason. Why do you want to volunteer? In global places, in organized crime, people volunteer for different reasons. People volunteer when they have earthquake, when they have fire, when they have wars, you understand, for health issues, different reasons. That's why people volunteer, because you're volunteering because you want to solve a problem and you know that there is no funding for that thing. There's actually no funding for that thing, and you know you can deliver that service. So it's like in the corporate world, they call it CSR. When companies use their CSR to solve a problem, that is for companies. But for people, individuals, it's called volunteering. We are volunteering, you are doing a thing selflessly because you are not expecting any reward. That is what volunteering is all about. But a lot of times people misunderstand what volunteering is because of, like I said, where the country is, the financial strength of the people, or because of hunger. People want to do a thing and they are looking at for, you must pay them. But I tell them, the easiest way I usually explain to them what volunteering is like you going to church. You volunteer to go to church for free. You sit down, you listen to the word of God for free. You pay your offering for free. You sweep the house of God for free. Church is doing program from Monday to Sunday. You go for free. Anything the man of God tells you to do, you do it for free. That is volunteering. You understand? But people, when it comes to giving same service you are giving to your church or to God, when you are giving that, you're supposed to give that service back to humanity. You are not looking for you must be paid. But you don't know that the same way you're serving in the house of God, volunteering to serve in the house of God, is the same way you can also serve out of the house of God. The main thing is the heart that you used to give. Just like a lot of people argue that they will not pay their tithes to a church, to their pastor, because they feel that if they use that money to help a life or give it to a beggar, they will be more fulfilled. So volunteering is anything you are doing and you're doing it out of charity. And when you're doing, you feel happy doing it. You feel fulfilled doing that thing. That is when you know you have been able to volunteer.
Well,
sincerely.
For the sake of our viewer, my viewer that is not even of the Christian proclivity and not of the Christian faith.
Even the Muslims do that a lot.
You know, you've mentioned quite a number of times. You mentioned Christians.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the church.
Yeah, because
so
I'm a
to
Christian.
set that record straight. For those that you can also do the private contribution and donations to your faith also.
Yeah.
But then, you are a volunteer enthusiast.
Yeah.
Going by my research on your volunteering journey, you've come you've come the distance in volunteering. But then, let's bring and narrow this conversation back to Nigerian and by extension, African. How far has Nigerian progressed in building a culture of volunteerism compared to other African countries? Are we doing enough?
Okay, so we are not doing enough. I won't even say we're doing anything because number one, we have a government agency called Nigeria National Volunteer Service. Have you heard about that before?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Nigeria National Volunteer Service is in the presidency, and their job is to encourage people to volunteer. Their job is to teach more on what volunteerism is about, more of orientation, encourage people to serve their nation. If you travel outside this country to America or some of all these countries, you see they value their flag, the way they carry their flag. A lot of times, people normally say, when America or some of these countries go to war, they can go to war because of just one person. You understand? To make sure they bring back that person. They value their people. They love themselves. And that's why you see in some of those organized crime, you cannot just do anything anyhow and get out of it. Your neighbor will be the one to report you. But in Nigeria, we're still trying to love. Even the Bible says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. That's the first law of volunteering. If you cannot be able to love your neighbor or love your community or take care of your community, take care of your environment like your own, then you are deceiving yourself. You cannot be able to volunteer. So like in Nigeria, a lot of times you hear people speak evil things about Nigeria. I'm a volunteer and I'm a tourism volunteer. I traveled a lot of times outside Nigeria. And one of the things I don't do, you can never see me say any bad thing about Nigeria. Irrespective of what is happening, you can never also see me post any bad thing about Nigeria on my status. You know why? Because if I do that, if I travel one day, the social media space, the internet is broad. And I'm telling you, oh, visit Nigeria. Nigeria is a beautiful place. And somebody is telling you, but you're the one that posted Nigeria is a bad place all the time. Boris Johnson was in Imo State, and he was in Owerri. You heard him when he was talking about how he has enjoyed his stay in Nigeria, because he was thinking the way they talk about Imo State or the Southeast, immediately you get into the Southeast, IPOB will kidnap you or kill you. You understand? So those are some of the, you need to first of all love yourself, love your country before you talk about volunteering. So the government, which is the Nigeria Volunteer Service, need to do so much of orientation. The Ministry of Orientation also, information and orientation, something like that, need to also play a major role to teach people more of what volunteerism is all about. So when people now understand that there is a need for them to volunteer, a lot of all these issues happening in Nigeria will stop. And in the course of this discussion, I'm also going to be teaching you how the best way to volunteer. Because most times, once you're volunteering and you are not getting result, or you're volunteering outside your capacity, that is where you should have. Because just like you are giving an offering to God, or you're giving a tithe to God, and you are grumbling and complaining, you will not get the reward.
So invariably, you're saying right now that Nigerian is underperforming compared to other African countries.
We are not even performing.
So we are not performing at all.
We are nowhere
compared to other African countries in volunteerism.
Of course. It's just a few people that is beginning to understand. A lot of times we also volunteer, and we don't even know that what we're doing is volunteering.
All right. So can we say that the volunteerism in Nigeria, especially for the few that, let's even give the benefit to
of those people that are already
volunteering to even carry out services to humanity, can we say that this volunteerism is still driven mostly by passion, or is it becoming a pathway to skills development, leadership, and employability?
So, a lot of things you've mentioned are driven by some of the facets of volunteerism. Now, one of the reasons why a lot of us volunteer is because we have this passion. Most times people volunteer because they have the skill, and you have the skill embedded in you. You don't know what to do with it. You've not had the opportunity to use it. You want to volunteer to use that skill. Most times people just volunteer to clean their environment because they notice that this place is always dirty, and naturally they are clean people. So somebody who is a dirty person cannot volunteer to clean his environment, that kind of thing. So this is how people volunteer. Like I usually tell people, if you want to volunteer and get results from volunteerism, always volunteer in your capacity. Always do what you think you can do, and you will not be under pressure or under stress. Volunteerism is not by force. As long as you've been able to build your mindset, convince yourself that you want to do this thing to volunteer, you'll be able to do it, and you'll be seeing the result. Now, I tell people, I give this illustration. Now, when I came into Abuja, I did a couple of programs and events and all that, and I found out that I'm always doing events. Why don't I look for a company that is into events that I can work with? And coincidentally, I found this company who are into events, and I went to meet them that, oh, I'm into events, and I want to work with you guys for free. And they looked at me and they said, you want to work with us for free? How? I said, yes, I want to volunteer to work for free. Now, this is the strategy. I knew if I've gone there with my CV to say I'm looking for a job, they won't give me a job because there will be issue of salary, or maybe they might put up an advert and say, okay, we need people for this position, and maybe at the end of the day, everybody comes for that position. They will do interview and all of that. I might be scaled out. And maybe they will even end up employing the wrong person because the person just has a fine certificate or whatever. Now, I got there and I told them that I will work with you for free. I have experience. Give them my profile and all that. I say I will come to work 3 times in a week. Now, this company is not too far from my street. From my house to that place, I was paying 100 naira. 50 naira, yes, on keke. That was 2014. No, 2015, kinda. I was paying keke to that place. I will enter keke to and fro. 200 naira be 100 naira. So, but what I did is I told them that every day I come, just give me food. I will come to work for you 3 times in a week as your administrative staff. And they said, okay, nice one. They finally agreed that I started working with them. Guess what? I didn't even know that their general manager has resigned. So that position was opened. So the woman convinced her husband and said, this guy, he has a good CV, and he said he wants to come and work with us for free because he wants to come and learn the job and do it. Okay, the husband agreed, and I started working 3 times in a week. When they saw my capacity and the things I was bringing into the company, because I told them that don't pay me, give me food. If I bring any job, give me 20%. Do you agree? They say yes. I started bringing jobs to the company. I started managing the company. I started doing a lot of things. So from 3 times in a week, I started working. No, from 2 times. It was 2 times. So from 2 times, I started working 3 times. For 3 times, 4 times. 4 times, 5 times. 5 times, 6 times, still 7 times. Because it's an event company. So I ended up being the general manager of that company. So they said, oh, since you are now working with us, we want to pay you salary. I said, no, don't pay me salary. I want to continue in the same structure that I was working. I was working full time, but guess what? The 20% was bigger than the salary that they were supposed to have paid me. So volunteerism is a strategy. You must have a strategy of volunteering. And like I said, don't volunteer in a way that it's going to make you be under pressure. You won't be able to achieve your success of volunteerism.
All right, so if I understand all of these stories that you've placed so far, you're saying right now that volunteerism is not driven by passion.
It's driven by passion. That's what I'm trying to say. Because if I don't, if you are doing anything and you don't have the passion for it, you cannot be there. You're a broadcaster. If you are at home and you're always watching TV, watching people talking about just like what we're doing here, and you don't have a job, you'll be feeling like, oh, I want to do this thing. You will start your own at home. You can open your YouTube page and all that. And if you see a space, maybe a company or a broadcast company have a free space, your friend tell you, first of all, you go there and say, I want to work with you guys for free. Then you pay me when I bring something. So the passion must be there. The passion for the which is also, you can use the word, the love for the job must be there. Because if the passion is not there, you cannot volunteer. One of the reasons why I've succeeded in tourism volunteering is because I found tourism as a major part of my entertainment industry.
Well, we'll come back to your tourism.
Yes.
Because we're going to that point where we're going to talk about tourism. But before we get to that point, despite progress, many Nigerians still do not see volunteerism as a priority. That's why I'm asking if it is born out of passion. But then, what are the biggest barriers for tourism, for volunteerism in the country? Is it funding? Is it awareness? Is it a policy support or mindset?
It's everything you've mentioned, trust me. Because like I said, orientation. First of all, like I usually tell people, in tourism, government plays 20%. In fact, in every business, some, I don't know, but I think government plays 20%. That 20% of the role of government is creating an enabling environment. Then the private sector plays the remaining 80%. So that 20% played by government is a critical percentage in volunteerism. If the government kickstarts a major orientation on the need for volunteerism, just like the way the religious leaders have been able to do that in churches and in mosques, to convince you that you need to come to church, you need to pay your tithe, you need to clean the house of God and you do all these things religiously without asking for anything. The government needs to also be sincere to explain to people on the reason why you need to volunteer in your own country. A lot of people volunteer to go and even fight wars for their country. You understand? So government has a role to play. And government can also put it as a policy. A lot of these countries also put it as a policy that immediately you are done with school, you will serve in the army. You will volunteer to serve in the army. Those are some of the policies that government can design. It's happening in a couple of countries that once you get to a certain age, you will volunteer to either do a public service or whatever in the UK and all of that. So that's why you see they understand more about volunteerism. There are some churches that I know while growing up, I don't know if you've seen them, they used to wear white and black trouser and a white shirt. They go to different places, volunteer to give up a service or something. So if government start to help people understand that you need to volunteer to help, government needs support and government needs help. But one of the major problems that government is having is sincerity of purpose. You are telling me to volunteer to something, and all of you are driving private jets. You are driving cars worth 50 billion, and you are telling me that we should come and volunteer. So in volunteering, you should be able to be sincere enough to let these people understand that all of us are volunteer. It cannot be Shakespeare where some animals are more equal than the others. You understand? Even the politicians over there, in a certain way, they are also volunteering. You understand? So we need to explain to people on the need to volunteer. You can volunteer, you can still be doing your business, because volunteering also helps you, gives you leverage, gives you connection to places that you cannot enter. Volunteering also exposes you to new ideas, new things, and also helps you to learn a lot of things. Because if I'm volunteering in this TV station now, as a volunteer, I have access to enter this place, and I'm watching you the way you are doing your job. I'm already learning. As a volunteer, I'm also, maybe they have trainings in editing or whatever, and I'm volunteering here for free as a cleaner. When they have those trainings, I can join for free. One day there will be an opportunity that I will say, Mr. Godwin is not around. Who can try this thing? And you will not see me that they will say, but we usually see few robots. You usually come. Let us give him a chance. I've gotten a job. But if I am outside, I'm outside this space, and I'm not volunteering, I cannot get the job. So volunteering, like I tell people, is the easiest, biggest strategy for job creation, because nobody will give you a job without seeing what you can do. You understand? If people don't see what you can do, they cannot trust you to give a job. And the easiest way to enter people's hearts to get a job, that's why a lot of times you see people will come as youth corpers. They will serve in an organization, and after service, they will get a job. So that is the strategy. So when I see youth sitting at home saying that they don't have a job, I just laugh, because you are not creative enough to get a job for yourself. The easiest way to get a job in anywhere is through volunteerism.
All right, Phil, let's hold your thought there. In the Nigerian perspective, there have been speculations that volunteerism in Nigeria has become a cash cow, very big cash cow, where volunteers, founders of volunteering organizations, tend to exploit donors, and as such, they drive the most expensive cars. They live in the most exotic houses, and as such, the whole idea behind the volunteerism becomes an agenda to reap donors and reap private contributors, if you like to use that word, even within the whole volunteering space. Now, young people are also watching, and they want to emulate the lifestyle which owners of volunteering organizations have been able to project out there. How will you react to money meant for volunteerism that is not given to the volunteers, even to fund their logistics? We've had a case where volunteers had to walk the distance. Meanwhile, they later found out that there've been release of funds for them to even be mobile. In such a scenario, can we say at this point that volunteerism in Nigeria is practicable?
So it's not just a Nigerian thing. It's a human nature thing. Any person that is greedy is greedy. So it's not just a volunteerism thing. It's also, like I said, it's a human nature. Because some people in business, in every business, if people are not sincere, if you don't have integrity in anything you are doing, forget about it. So it's not an issue of volunteerism. It's the people behind whatever project or whatever they're doing. Like people now say NGOs are used for scamming and all of that. So it's not like, I don't want us to attribute that to volunteerism, because,
well, of course they are volunteers. We can't take that away from volunteerism. They volunteered to champion a cause.
No, that's why I'm explaining to you.
All right.
I don't want to put that. I'm trying to drive a point.
All right.
It's not only for volunteering.
My sincere apologies.
No, I understand what you're saying.
For interjecting.
Anybody who is running an organization, if you don't have integrity, you don't have integrity. So it's not about because it's a volunteering organization. There was a time in Buhari's government, may so rest in peace, where he wanted to shut down all the NGOs operating in northern Nigeria. Why? Because they were using it as a tool for siphoning. A lot of these things you are saying was happening in all those places. You understand? So the problem we normally have is that a lot of organizations also use these NGOs as a tool for money laundering. You understand? So even when people, youth corpers volunteer to go and work with INEC, they will finish working. The small stipends they're supposed to give to them, they will not pay them. At the end of the day, you will see the youth corpers complaining or whatever. So it's a humanity thing. It's not based on only volunteerism. Be that is me. If you must run any organization, either a volunteering organization, a CSO, or an NGO, you must have integrity. Because you need these people to come and work for you and also to do the job. But there is, as somebody who has also run a volunteering organization, I can also explain to you that it is not also easy running a volunteering organization. Because if you want people to, a lot of people always see every opportunity as a money spinning opportunity. A lot of times, you that is even the person running it, you don't even have money to eat, but you will put your money on that project. So a lot of times, sincerely, those organizations don't even have the money, apart from the one, like I started with the issue of integrity. A lot of them collect money from organizations, from government, they will eat the money and all of that. But a lot of organizations also have projects that they are doing that they end up spending their money to run those projects, and some people will just sit down and say we are volunteers. You are not doing anything. You only show up because you're a volunteer. You don't serve, you don't add any of the skill, you are not creative, you don't even support them. The only thing you just do is that you're in a WhatsApp group and you say you're a volunteer. What a lot of other people also do is that they even start talking about these people. Say, oh, these guys, they're just using us. You know, Nigeria has this issue of, because of maybe like what you have explained, everybody has these trust issues. So when you begin to have trust issues and you are not adding your service, there's a problem. Now, some of those people who also complain and say, oh, we were part of this thing, they didn't pay us, it's a lie. Check them out very well. Because I give an instance. If you have an NGO or a volunteering organization and funds or grants were released to you to solve a particular problem or pay certain set of people, you know these donors will also want to see how you use that money. So if you're a volunteer and you're supposed to deliver this service and you didn't deliver this service, don't expect to be paid. And the way some of these organizations work, they don't pay you. They're not telling you that they're paying. What they give to you is the logistics. Let's say you are supposed to go to, they're doing a program in Benin. They will give you the money for your flights, give you the money for your feeding and small stipends. So they don't like to say they've paid you. You understand? Now, you go to that place and they will tell you that before they will pay you the money, they want to see an evidence of the work that you have done. Some organizations do that. They want to see the evidence of work you have done before they will give you your stipends. Some will even say, okay, take the stipends. So why a lot of organizations have learned is that you give people money for stipends for a job, they get there, they don't do the job. Some of them end up using the money to enjoy themselves. So if I am the person that is the head of the organization and I'm the one that is in charge and I'm the one that they will give query for the job not done, why should I give you money when you didn't do the job? I will give the money or the stipends to the person that I've worked. So it's a two-way thing. A lot of times the volunteers on their own, they are not sincere. A lot of times also the volunteers might be sincere. The people running the organization are not sincere. A lot of times the people running the organizations go out of their way to even run the thing, but the volunteers don't deliver the service. So that is usually a challenge.
All right, so it's a two-edged sword.
That's what I say, it's a human
all right.
issue.
So let's come back home.
Yes.
And try to look at all of this conversation again. A lot of volunteering organizations, which your organization is also part of.
Oh, yeah.
The Tourism Volunteers Network is also a volunteering platform in order to boost tourism conversations.
Yeah.
And you will explain better to us what the organization does. But then, we've not seen volunteering organizations try to champion a cause, even try to come out to confront the government through maybe boycotting a process or coming up with a protest or something with a placard and challenge the government that they want to be incorporated into and integrated into the government of volunteerism and national policies in order to address some of the lopsidedness that we've had, especially within the rural communities. Can we say at this point in time, talking about Volunteerism Day, that Nigerian voluntary services are lopsided and are centered in an urban community and not in the rural community? That's on one hand. On the second hand, can we say that the volunteerism service in Nigeria in general is just more of an advanced stomach infrastructure where the voluntary organizations don't tend to confront the government, who tends to be the primus interferer, the major parties to deal with when it has to do with people getting involved in volunteerism? Can we fault voluntary organizations at this point for not carrying out campaign protest and boycotting processes in order to confront the government?
So the thing is, like I mentioned before, it is a human thing. Like now, there are different, every organization have their objectives and why they were formed, their mission, their vision, you understand? They have the reason why they were formed. There's a difference between a pressure group. There's a difference between CSOs. So a lot of organizations were designed to, you know what you have been called for. You follow what you have been called for. I tell people that, you see these people they call comrade. Anywhere I am with somebody and I hear I am a comrade, I just quietly walk out of there. You say, when you start introducing yourself, I am comrade, so. No, I walk out of there. It's my principle. I don't like to stay around there because most times people who call themselves comrade, my brother, you will argue with them until you will get tired. A lot of them are just, you see somebody who is stubborn. The next thing he will just call himself that he's a comrade. You understand? Because a lot of times we have misunderstood what comrade is all about. So, like for Tourism Volunteers Network, we have we do a lot of projects that are designed for grassroots. Tourism is the biggest marketing tool of every country. Now, to showcase what we are doing, last year I trekked from Abuja to Delta State. Now, what was the reason for trekking from Abuja to Delta State? Why didn't I fly or why didn't I enter vehicle? It's because I wanted to showcase the various tourism destinations of every local government, those villages, those rural areas.
Oh, don't let me allege that you were broke at that point.
So you see, that's what I'm saying.
I'm not the one saying it.
Yeah.
It was alleged that Phil was broke.
So he
couldn't afford the flight tickets
so I had to trek.
Delta. So he trekked to Delta.
Of course, you know, trekking from Abuja to Delta with a media crew that you are feeding for 30 days, staying in a hotel. A broke man wouldn't do that.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm just trying to explain to you. You feed 5 matured men. You carry the media crew with a car that you fuel for the 30 days. You know how much is fuel. So a broke man wouldn't do that. But I just wanted to showcase that there are a lot of hidden gems, hidden tourism potentials in the rural communities of Nigeria, just to showcase Nigeria as a tourism destination. So that was what I did. Now, in this year too, I did a project in October where I drove from Nigeria heading to Ethiopia. Though we didn't stop in Ethiopia because of the issue in Cameroon and Tanzania. What was I doing? I was dragging international visibility to Nigeria as a major tourism destination. So when people say that volunteerism is a cash cow or whatever, see, my brother, the Bible said the gift of the man opens way for him. So if you are doing something and you are doing it sincerely and God sees your heart and is blessing you, that is the reason why I told you that in volunteering is a two-way thing. It's like you giving offering in church and you are grumbling. God will not bless you. Or a mosque. God will not bless you. God will not bless you. But when God or Allah sees your heart that this person is genuine, there are a lot of people who are looking for people like you to work with, and they will support you. So if you are going into volunteerism because you want to use it as a cash cow, just know that you will continue hitting bricks wall like this. But once you know what you are doing, you are gifted, you are talented, you are creative in what you are doing, a lot of people will come and support you. So that's the only thing I will talk about volunteerism. So volunteerism, for some people who have opportunity to harness money and use it to defraud, is their business. But what we do in volunteerism is that, number one, you must be sincere about it. You must have the passion for it. You must be prepared for it. And it's not a do or die thing. It's something you do. Most of I advise people that if you want to volunteer, have a side business you are doing, so that business should be giving you money while you volunteer. Because if you are somebody who is less busy, you don't have anything to do, you now say it's volunteerism you want to do as a business. Those are the people that bring problem in volunteerism, because they are using volunteerism as their work. That is the only job they are doing. So if something is your only source of livelihood, then you must always have, if somebody wants to tell you that do it in the right way, you will fight, or you will be doing a lot of things to make sure you destroy it. Nobody wants to bring somebody into a space that they will spoil what their chopping is. So those are the people that causes problem in volunteering. But people who are genuine about volunteerism, God always open doors to them. A lot of people don't know that I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm a businessman. I'm a politician. I speak in different events. I have my businesses going on for me. So volunteerism that I do, I use my money to sponsor a lot of volunteerism projects. And a lot of those projects I do keep me visible. The project I just did that we drove from Nigeria to, that was supposed to drive from Nigeria to Ethiopia, a lot of my money was part of the project. The one we did trekking from Abuja to Delta State, a lot of my money was it. And you know how Nigeria is, or how people is. If you want to do a thing, if you don't start that thing, they will not support you. So you need the money to even kickstart it. I'm just coming from Bonny Island, where the king himself inaugurated a team under Nasima to see how they can turn Bonny into a major tourism destination. And guess what? I am part of that team. I just came back from that. So if I am not intelligent, if I'm not creative, if I'm a nobody, and I'm volunteering, you're wasting your time. So for you to be useful and relevant, you must, and you are doing volunteering, you must have something that you are doing that is making you credible, that is increasing your capacity, increasing your integrity. I traveled to China for a training, and when I on training on marine tourism and blue economy, and I didn't even know that a day will come where I'll be invited by the Bonny Kingdom to come and join a committee to come and design Bonny Island as a major tourism destination. So imagine I am a volunteer. Some people will be complaining, oh, this volunteering is only Ambassador Firobo that is benefiting. Imagine that I am a volunteer and I don't have a skill and I don't have a knowledge on marine tourism and blue economy. Would they call me? So if you are a volunteer, don't just end up as being a volunteer. Go and develop yourself. Every day I am developing myself. I get different certificates online. So you don't expect me to be in your level. So that is what I always teach people. So don't come and sit down and say you want to volunteer because you want to see it as a means of making money. Nobody will give you money if you are not solving a problem. So volunteering is not just coming to volunteer because you want to eat money. You must solve a problem through volunteerism.
Well, one would have thought that the king of Bonny invited you to be part of that crew because you trekked from Abuja to Delta. But that's just on a lighter note. A lot of youth watching right now are curious.
Yeah.
And they want to get involved in volunteerism.
Yes.
Even in Nigeria. Of course, you've been able to help us understand the challenges and also the prospects in volunteerism. But then, which sector receives the highest level of volunteerism in Nigeria? For people that want to get involved in volunteerism, should they be looking at the educational sector, tourism, humanitarian support, or environmental sustainability?
So the major sector that needs volunteering support is the sector that is more closer to you, that you understand. It's as easy as that. Because if you are in an environment that you don't understand, you will be a problem to them. Volunteers who are in a round peg in a square hole, something like that, those are the volunteers. I've run a volunteering organization. I will tell you that those are the major problems. So if you must volunteer I don't advise people on where to volunteer. If you see a problem, go and develop a skill to solve it. If you are and you volunteer according to your catchment area or your environment, your immediate environment. If you are in the northern part of Nigeria, you know education is a problem, and you are educated and you want to teach, go and volunteer. If water is a problem and you can solve the problem of water, go and do it. You understand? So the humanity has lots of problems. So I cannot tell you that this is where to volunteer. Like now, something that is very amazing to people and what makes people to be wondering, even they hear stuff like tourism volunteerism. A lot of them were fighting me when I started Tourism Volunteer Network, that how can you say you are volunteering for tourism? Tourism is a business, and you are telling us to come and volunteer for tourism. So, like, Tourism Volunteer Network was designed out of seeing a loophole. I'm a rock musician. People don't know how the idea came. Now, every time I travel out of Nigeria for my rock music shows and all of that, I see how they take me to different sites to showcase tourism. You're driving in the streets, they're taking you to your hotel, you are seeing the flags of their countries. Patriotism. That was what I was seeing. But a lot of times I come back to Nigeria and the difference is what I see. You even get to the toilet to pee. You see those guys at the toilet asking you, say, boss, how far now? What do you bring for us? You are driving from the airport to your hotel or office. Police is disturbing you and all of that. Different scenario. So I'm like, how can we solve this problem? Why is it that if you get to Nigeria, there is no place in our airport that is showing this is Kubwa, this is Zubwa, this is Lagos, this is Calabar? But in other countries, you can be watching TV, you're watching CNN, you see, visit Moscow, this is Dubai. As easy as that. So I became curious, and that was how my journey in tourism started. Because I didn't even know what I was doing. Music, that entertainment was also a major part of tourism. So that was how we now came up with an idea with the FCT Tourism Director to say, okay, let us come up with something to encourage people to learn more about tourism. That's how Tourism Volunteer Network started. So me, I saw a loophole, and which is still in the line of my business and my entertainment industry, which was tourism. And that was how it started. So if you go into a new ground where you don't understand, instead of you to volunteer there, you will be a major havoc in that place. So I advise people, don't go and volunteer. That's why I talk about passion. You must have passion. You must have an understanding of what you want to do. You must be creative, and you must find a way to solve problem in that place. If you don't know anything to do in that place, don't go there. Because when you have passion, even if money is not coming, you find out that you are still doing the thing. And that is how God blesses you. But if you don't have passion and you don't know anything and nothing concerns you there because you are broke, you just want to go there and work and collect money, you will start causing problem in that place. So at the end of the day, you are not volunteering, but you have been a major problem in that organization.
Well, Phil, there have been a lot of disconnect between volunteers in the rural communities and the urban communities. How do we begin to mitigate this gap in order to ensure that people within the rural communities also understand that they can get involved in volunteerism?
The people in the rural communities, they are human beings. The people in the urban communities,
you know, I've told you before that a lot of people within the rural communities still perceive volunteerism from the urban side. People within the rural community perceive volunteerism from the urban side as a cash cow movement, where if you get involved, automatically in the next few months,
so let me
you become automatically become a billionaire.
It's the same thing. People in the rural community, a bad man is a bad man.
But then you've clarified us. But then, how do we begin to mitigate this gap?
It's orientation. If you are not,
are we doing enough in terms of this orientation?
We have said it. We are not doing enough. But thank God for this kind of show we are having. This is how we start. A bad person is a bad person, okay? If you are telling me that somebody in the urban community, in the urban areas, is looking at volunteerism as a cash cow, maybe he's using it to collect money, funding, and all of that. Some other person in the rural area can also be looking at volunteerism as a cash cow too from his side, because when he volunteers to do something, he will collect yam. They will give him gari. You understand? As I told you, people that are in the rural communities are human beings. People in the urban communities are human beings, depending on their perception, integrity issues, trust issues, and who they are. You understand? If I'm a lazy person that is just sitting around in the village, I don't have anything to do, and I go and tell you that, okay, I want to volunteer for you in your farm to be helping you to clear your farm. And while clearing your farm, I'm not coming to volunteer to help you clear your farm. I want to be stealing your yam and your produce to go and sell. You'll be thinking that this person is coming to volunteer for me, and he's stealing my things to go and sell. That is a human being staying in the rural communities. What is the difference with him and the one staying in the urban community that is telling the international community that we have these volunteers? Give us 5 billion naira, we'll do this for them. They give them the money and they divert it. It's still the same thing. Once you don't have passion for volunteerism, once you don't have empathy, if you don't have empathy, and if you're a wicked person, you're a thief, you cannot volunteer. So you see all these things, they are heavy words I use. I know why I'm using it, because a lot of times people who are lazy, who don't have anything to do, will now come and say they are volunteers. Because why? They are looking for where they will steal, where they will cause problem, where they will now be using it as a means to siphon. A lot of people can join a volunteering organization because they just want to penetrate into the organization and start using the name of those organizations to defraud people.
So it's a matter of locality.
Yes. So
it's a matter of, so you can change agbada to suit.
I'm telling you.
And still do the same, perpetuate the same
It's the same thing.
But
it's the same thing. Because even in the village, a lot of times the chiefs or the kings will say, oh, everybody will come out, we are going to clean the village square today. Everybody will come out and clean the village square. That is volunteerism.
All right. So as we begin to wrap up right now, let's look at the future of Nigerian volunteerism, looking ahead. Is there a future for Nigerian in terms of volunteerism? So
volunteerism is the biggest solution to solving every national problem. Do you know why? Now, this is the future. If Rapid TV can decide that from today, Ambassador Firobot, let us start a program on national orientation on volunteerism. Trust me, you have solved the problem of volunteerism in Nigeria. Because even the Ministry of Information and Orientation does not even Ministry of Information does not even have information. So what do they want to orientate people about, teach people about? So, Minister...
let's say allegedly don't have
of
information.
course.
Let's allege on it because
allegedly.
we can't say for sure
because
they don't have information because they are the umbrella body that provides
how
information
many times
across
do
the
you
country.
see? How many times do you see
they are
them?
the umbrella body that is in charge of information
in Nigeria,
across the country.
we have national orientation agencies. They are supposed to be in the 774 local government areas. What are they doing? Is it not orientation? If you don't have any information, how do you grade that orientation? So what I'm trying to say is that when I say government plays 20% roles and the private sector plays 80%, I'm right. So if we, as the citizens, we have seen a gap on where government is failing, and you know that truly you are a citizen of this country and you want the best for your country, all you need to do is to fill the gap. But like I said, in volunteering, you must have something to cover your finance. Because if I don't have money to go to Suleja to volunteer, I cannot volunteer. And maybe there's a problem I think I can solve there. So if Rapid TV can start as the only major TV station in Nigeria, a part of your CSRU, to design a program on volunteerism, to teach people on how to volunteer and why we need to volunteer, I think we can fill that gap. And the future of volunteerism in Nigeria is going to explode. I won't deceive you. A lot of organizations in and outside Nigeria have serious funding and grants for volunteering projects. So volunteering is also a major way where you volunteer and your life is also being blessed. Just like you go to your religious centers and you serve God, God blesses you. So there is no blessing bigger, there's no bigger blessing than you serving humanity. Because once you are serving humanity, you are solving problem, God will be blessing you. The people that you are helping, they'll be saying, God bless you. When I trekked from Abuja to Delta, I ate a lot of free food. You understand? People were giving me free food. Why? Because I was carrying the flag of Nigeria. I wore green, white, green. I was showing them that I was patriotic. So if you are not patriotic, the first rule for volunteerism is patriotism. So if you cannot be patriotic to your country and you don't have that humanity and empathy, there's no room for you in volunteerism.
Phil, Robert, there are various ways to volunteer. Of course, Rapid TV is volunteering also in its own capacity. That's why you're here to speak about volunteerism, of course, in this light. But then again, trekking from from Abuja to Delta without bringing the goodies to Rapid TV, that's not fair on volunteerism. Okay, so you ate the food alone, but I'm not saying that right now at our time. So I know you want to delve with that.
Rapid TV was part of the sponsors, so that you know, I give them the content.
All right,
they sponsored me.
I know we have a lot of things to talk about, especially how to get disbursement of funds and what have you. But I'm missing that right now. Our time is fast. I want to say thank you so much. It's always a delight to have you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Even on Rapid TV, Phil Roberts.
Thank you so much.
Phil Roberts is the global director of Tourism Volunteers Network, and he has been doing justice for us here on volunteerism. Who best can have that conversation apart from Phil Roberts? Well, I want to say it's a delight to have him once again here on the station. Well, don't forget that you can also join the conversation right now on our various social media platform currently showing on your screen. And you can also download the Rapid TV app from your Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. My name is Godwin Sunday. Always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Do enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye for now.